How often do we stop to think about how much our closest ties, both family and friends, affect our lives? These bonds that hold our lives together give us support, love, and a sense of belonging. But the Stoics tell us that it's important to think carefully about the quality of these connections. What's the point of having a relationship if it hurts us more than it helps? Today, we're going to take a serious look at a touchy but important subject. There are 10 signs that you should end every connection, even with your family. In the world of Stoicism, actions are based on virtue and wisdom. As we look into these signs, we know that some relationships, no matter how important they are, may not always be good for our health. This is a hard truth to face, especially when it comes to people we care about. But Stoicism teaches us the courage to face uncomfortable truths for the sake of our own growth. I urge you to think deeply about what you've been through. Have you ever felt limited in a relationship? Has it kept you from growing as a person or disturbed your peace? These aren't just uncomfortable feelings. They could be signs of a bad relationship that needs to be looked at again. Stay with us until the end of this study to fully understand the Stoic point of view and learn not only how to spot bad relationships, but also how to deal with them with the knowledge and respect that Stoicism offers. Advocates should remember that the point of this journey is not to cut ties quickly, but to make sure that the connections we build are ones that really help us grow as people and as thinkers. Number 1. You are constantly disrespected in that relationship. In the Stoic quest of a life guided by virtue and reason, mutual respect in relationships becomes one of the most important building blocks. How can one find peace and wisdom in a place where there is no mutual respect? Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said that we can control how we react to disrespect, but not how others treat us. He also said that putting up with disrespect without doing anything about it is not in line with living a life of dignity and self-respect. Imagine a situation that fits with Epictetus's teachings. When someone is in a relationship where their opinions are brushed off, their boundaries are ignored, and their presence is taken for granted. A Stoic person doesn't get angry or try to get even. Instead, they look at their own worth and the virtue of assertiveness. They know that while they can't change the disrespectful behavior of others, they can choose whether to stay in that environment. This is a real-life example of Stoicism in action. Abuse all the time, lack of care for another person's feelings, or being rude. Stoic principles say that the best way to deal with a situation is to remain cool, state your worth, and, if necessary, make the brave choice to end the relationship in order to protect your peace of mind and self-respect. We are told that respect is not just an expectation, but also a reflection of our values. If we are consistently disrespected, it is time to reevaluate the relationship in light of our health and morals. Number 2. You are manipulated and controlled. Figuring out when our independence is being violated is a very important part of Stoicism, which is based on the idea that we have the power to govern ourselves and seek virtue. Being manipulated and controlled in a relationship is very dangerous because it takes away from our basic Stoic duty to live in line with our own rational nature and virtues. Being manipulated and controlled can show up in many different ways. Stoicism tells us that our will cannot be in line with reason and virtue. However, when we're in relationships that are manipulative, this will is weakened, and our life moves away from the Stoic ideals of wisdom and courage, fair play and moderation. The danger is not only losing our independence, but also slowly growing apart from our true selves and our Stoic principles. A relationship that requires us to give up our freedom for someone else's wants goes against Stoic teachings. It makes it harder for us to become more moral, make decisions based on our own judgment, and live a peaceful, wise life. When we see these signs, we need to stand up for our independence, and it shows how dedicated we are to Stoicism, a way of life that doesn't just ask us to deal with hardships, but to change our lives in search of virtue, peace, and real freedom. Number 3. You lack trust in that relationship. When we're trying to be wise and at peace with ourselves, having faith in our relationships helps us find our way through life's challenges. In this case, faith isn't just a religious or spiritual belief. It's also a deep trust and conviction in the bond shared with another person. It's the foundation on which deep, meaningful relationships are built. When faith wanes and doubts cloud our trust in another person's words, actions, or intentions, it signals a deep crack in the foundation of our relationship. The Stoics, who knew a lot about human nature, said that a life devoid of such faith, especially in those close a lack of faith, can lead to a life full of suspicion and loneliness, which is very different from the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with nature and virtue. It can cause people to constantly question motives, feel betrayed, and lose the mutual respect that used to hold the relationship together. Marcus Aurelius, a great example of Stoic virtue, might tell us to look inward and question not only what other people do, but also how we react to them. He would remind us that we can't change what other people do, but we can change how we react to them. If a relationship consistently drains us of faith and makes us feel less than, it may be time to let go in order to realign our lives with our values and the pursuit of eudaimonia flourishing. How did you handle a situation where you felt like you had lost faith in a relationship? This question makes us think about our own relationships and whether they help us live a more calm life. Please share your stories and thoughts in the comments. Number 4. You are hindered in your ability to grow in that relationship. How do relationships shape us, and what happens when they stop helping us grow? According to the Stoic theory, relationships are places where our virtues are tested, nurtured, and brought to light. Marcus Aurelius, whose writings still influence Stoic thought that relationships were important to our moral and philosophical journey. He said that truly enriching relationships push us beyond our perceived limits and help us find and develop the virtues that are dormant within us. However, there comes a time when the dynamic of a relationship changes and the exchange of growth and inspiration stops. This is when we feel our development is at its weakest. May not serve our best interests anymore. The Stoic response to this kind of realization is to think deeply about ourselves and ask, is this relationship a garden where my virtues can grow, or has it become a cage that limits my growth? If we find that our path to self-improvement is blocked, it might be time to make the hard decision to move on, always with kindness and respect for both ourselves and the other person. So, let's think about this. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you couldn't grow? Stoicism does not fear change. Instead, it sees it as a chance to learn more about oneself and improve oneself. Remember that we keep moving toward becoming the best versions of ourselves by being brave enough to accept change. In partnerships, it's important for both people to grow. But sometimes things get in the way of this growth, keeping the friendship from thriving as it should. Finding and fixing these problems is important for keeping the relationship healthy and strong. Not talking to each other enough. Good communication is essential for any relationship to work. It's harder to solve problems, say what you need, and understand each other's points of view when conversation breaks down or isn't working well. This lack of talking to each other can cause confusion and anger, which can stop you from growing as a person and in your relationships. Unresolved issues, arguments or problems from the past that haven't been fixed can get in the way of relationship growth. Problems only get worse over time if you ignore them or sweep them under the rug. This stops both people from going forward and growing together. Lack of trust. Trust is an important part of every partnership. When trust is broken or not present, it makes the setting unhealthy because people feel unsafe and on guard. It's hard to open up, be vulnerable, and build real closeness when you don't trust someone. This stops you from growing as a person and in your relationships. Power differences. Differences in power, such as personality, income, or control, can make it harder for a relationship to grow. One person controlling or making decisions for the other person all the time stifles their freedom and growth, which can lead to anger and a lack of progress. Not supporting each other's goals. It's important for personal and relationship growth to support each other's goals and ambitions. When one partner feels ignored or unsupported as they pursue their dreams, it makes the other partner unhappy and angry. Both people should feel supported and free to follow their dreams and interests, which will help them both grow and be happy. In conclusion, if you want to have a healthy and satisfying relationship, you need to be able to see and deal with things that are getting in the way of growth. By putting an emphasis on clear communication, settling disagreements, fostering trust, ensuring power balance, and supporting each other's goals, people can get past problems and continue to grow as individuals and in their relationship. Number 5, that relationship impacts your physical health. Stoics believed that virtue and wisdom should guide our actions, and taking care of our bodies should show that mind and body can work together in harmony. After all, what good is a philosopher without a body that can hold their thoughts, or a citizen without the health to make their voice heard? As the Stoics saw it, health is a priceless asset that forms the basis of a life of fulfillment and duty. It's not just the absence of Marcus Aurelius may have thought about how important it is to be around people who are good for your health and away from people who are bad for it. He would probably say that any relationship that makes our physical health worse is also one that makes it harder for us to live in harmony with nature, use our minds, and play our part as social beings. So let us ask ourselves, have we noticed a drop in our physical health that we can blame on? The Stoicism teaches us to value the health of the body as much as the health of the mind, because when we are healthy, we have the strength to practice virtue, seek wisdom, and make a meaningful contribution to the world around us. When we are healthy, we are halfway to becoming superior to others. Your presence here shows that you are ready to start the process of self-improvement. But our journey doesn't end here. I have another challenge for you. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to keep watching. People have known for a long time that healthy relationships are important for general health. Relationships are known to be very important for mental and emotional health, and new study shows that they are also deeply linked to physical health. Understanding this link helps us see how health affects the whole person, which shows how important it is to make good connections. Here are 5 main points that show how relationships affect health. Stress reduction. Having strong relationships based on trust and support can help you deal with stress. People who have friends or social networks that are there for them often feel less stressed when they are in tough situations. Long-term worry can make a lot of health problems worse, like high blood pressure, weak immune systems, and heart diseases. Effects on mental health. Having good relationships can improve your mental health, which can then improve your physical health. On the other hand, relationships that are tense or harmful can cause sadness, anxiety, and other mental health disorders, which have been linked to physical health issues like inflammation and a higher risk of getting sick. Better lifestyle choices. People who have helpful relationships are more likely to do things that are good for their health. Partners and friends can affect each other's lifestyle decisions by doing things like working out together, making healthy meals together, or encouraging each other to put self-care first. These habits, like working out regularly and eating a well-balanced diet, are necessary to stay physically healthy and lower the risk of getting chronic illnesses. Function of the immune system. The immune system can be affected by the quality of interactions. Studies have shown that people who have strong social ties tend to have stronger immune systems. On the other hand, people who feel socially isolated may have weaker immune systems. A weak immune system can make you more likely to get infections and take longer to heal, which is bad for your general health. Longevity. Strong social ties have been linked to longer life in many studies. People who have close relationships tend to live longer than those who don't have any, or who have bad relationships. Healthy relationships give people mental support and a sense of belonging, which helps them deal with life's problems and, in the end, makes them healthier and longer lived. In conclusion, the health of our relationships has a big effect on our bodies. Building supportive relationships, making communication a priority, and encouraging good interactions with others are all important ways to improve our physical and mental health. Knowing that relationships have a big effect on health makes it even more important to take care of these ties as part of a healthy lifestyle. Number 6. You do not receive support from that relationship. During the Stoics' search for virtue and a good life, they understood how important it is for people to help each other in their relationships. The Stoics valued friendship and community and knew that a happy life is based on relationships that offer real support. Support, whether it's emotional, intellectual, or practical, is what makes it possible to deal with life's problems. Without it, even the strongest relationships can fall apart. Take a look at Seneca's writings, which are full of wise words about friendship and support. He said that true friends are those who walk with us through our best and worst times, lending a hand not because they think we might fall, but because they want to be a part of our journey. Seneca might say that a relationship without this kind of true and enthusiastic support is like a ship without an anchor. It drifts and is vulnerable to the winds of fortune. If you're in a relationship where the levels of support are uneven and your efforts to care for and encourage are met with indifference or worse, exploitation, it may be a sign that the relationship is not good for your growth or well-being. Being in a situation like this not only limits our own growth but also our ability to make a positive difference in other people's lives. So I want you to think about it. Have you ever felt unsupported? Stoicism teaches us to look for relationships that make us more determined to live a good life and to gracefully cut ties with people who hold us back from moving forward and hopelessness. By doing this, we honor our promise to live a meaningful life with the help of and for those who truly value our shared path to wisdom and tranquility. Number 7. You were abused in that relationship. What is it about the idea of shared support in our relationships that is so important to the Stoic view of a happy life? Stoicism is a way of thinking that teaches us how people depend on each other, how important community is, and how important each person is to the well-being of others. According to Stoic principles, a healthy relationship is based on mutual support, where each person gives and receives encouragement. Support that goes both ways is what helps us deal with life's problems, become better people, and follow our dreams with vigor and purpose. But if we're in a relationship where our efforts, struggles, and dreams are met with indifference or worse, discouragement, we need to ask ourselves if this relationship has a place in our lives. A relationship that consistently fails to offer support. Not only when Seneca thought about friendship and support, he might have said that real friends are the ones who show up when everyone else leaves. They're the ones who hold us up when we're weak and light our way when it gets dark. This means that if you're in a relationship where support isn't there and your growth is being hindered instead of encouraged, it may be a sign that this relationship isn't good for you. Then let's ask ourselves, have we ever been in a situation where we didn't feel supported? How did that make it harder for us to thrive? Keep in mind that if you want to live a good life, it's important to surround yourself with people who make you feel good and push you to be your best. Number 8. You are isolated in that relationship. Picture yourself on a road covered in fog, where each step seems to take you farther away from the familiar landmarks of friendship and community. This is how people who are alone in a relationship feel. Stoicism, which is based on the value of community and social bonds, teaches us that real connections should make our lives better by bringing us closer to our virtues and to each other. But when a relationship makes us feel alone, cutting us off from the world and from the core of who we are, it's a clear sign that this bond might not be in our best interest. For example, there's a story of a Stoic practitioner who saw this loneliness for what it was: a cage. If the loneliness of being alone makes you miss the joy of your relationships, ask yourself if this connection brings you closer to your community and to your best self. If not, it might be time to rethink its place in your life. Stoicism teaches us not only how to deal with hardships, but also how to spot when a situation, no matter how connected with love, is bad for our health and virtue. Have you ever felt so alone? How did you find your way back to your community and the joy of real connections? Always keep in mind that Stoicism can help you find your place in the world again at every step you take. Number 9. Relationships make you lose your personal identity. If not the unique mix of traits, beliefs, and events that make us who we are, then what is personal identity? According to the Stoic view, each person's identity is made up of virtues and wisdom gained over a lifetime. Stoicism teaches us how important it is to hold on to our identity while in relationships. According to Stoic ideas, real relationships should respect and celebrate each person's unique identity, creating a space where everyone can grow without losing who they are at their core. For example, think about the story of a Stoic who was in a relationship that slowly required them to lose who they were. This person, who used to be full of life and have a clear sense of purpose, started to notice that their inner light was dimming and that their personal beliefs and passions were slowly fading in favor of their partner. This was a deep realization that echoed the Stoic warning not to let outside influences overshadow our inner nature. When faced with the painful truth that the relationship was taking them away from their true self, the Stoic chose to embrace the virtue of courage. This wasn't an act of abandonment, it was a strong statement of self-respect and the value of one's own personality. Stoics believed that no outside connection should ever change who we are at our core. If you're in a relationship that dims the very qualities that make you who you are, you should ask yourself, is this bond nurturing my true self or obscuring it? To find harmony in our interactions, but not at the cost of our own uniqueness, Stoicism tells us. Always keep in mind that a relationship that makes you forget who you are is not on the road of Stoic wisdom. It is our power and duty to protect our individuality, making sure that our ties add to who we are instead of taking away from it. Number 10. That relationship violates your privacy. When Stoics think about the good things in life, the privacy of individuals stands out as a stronghold of freedom and honor. The Stoics' deep respect for the autonomy of the self reminds us that our inner selves, our thoughts, feelings, and the core of who we are a world of freedom and honor. As sovereign individuals, we find our deepest truths and virtues in the unattainable peace of our private world. Therefore, invading this privacy without permission is not only an invasion, but also a serious breach of the Stoic principle of respecting the individual's domain of control. Signs of abuse in a relationship may be subtle at first. Swiping informally through your correspondence regardless of pre-established boundaries or insisting on sharing personal desires are not just red flags screaming loudly for approval. Questioning the life of independence and friendship that is called Stoicism teaches us to guard the inner castle carefully because it is the center of our thoughts and virtues. If you feel that your normal life is disrupted, do not associate this with the life of a Stoic. Above all, the rewards of independence and honesty are a special reminder from the Stoics that we should not fully accept these mistakes. She should try to fix this or, if necessary, Break up with the relationship that does not respect the sacred area of privacy. Privacy is not only the protection of privacy, but also the protection of the dignity and respect that every individual deserves. During today's wonderful journey, we have managed to identify relationships that need to end immediately in order to avoid the Stoicism that teaches us the value of personal peace and the importance of nurturing. Instead of damaging our lives while considering these signs, let's take seriously the courage and wisdom it takes to make difficult decisions about our lives. I invite you to put these lessons into practice and choose the path that will lead us to happiness, peace, and personal growth. Remember that sometimes the bravest step in pursuing the good life is to walk away from things that don't work for us. When you feel inspired by a good day trip and a Stoic philosophy, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos we will broadcast in the future. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.